I certainly don't regard myself as particularly knowledgeable or erudite or even well-read compared to many people I know. But one of the advantages that I had was not having much of a formal education. I was not spoon-fed through commentaries and teachers. I had the opportunity to look into things for myself. I think that I could learn more given my peculiar mindset. This suited me. So I attribute whatever I know to not having gone to school. The experiences that have shaped my life, as well as my reflections upon the times I've lived through, I cobbled a few years ago into a memoir called Beethoven's Mask. Events in the year of my birth forecast rather clearly the kind of world in which I was going to grow up. In Germany, the Nazi Party Congress enacted the Nuremberg Laws. Definitions of Jewish descent established the categories of mixed offspring, or Mischlinge. The first degree included anyone with 2 Jewish grandparents, the second degree anyone with 1 Jewish grandparent. I had 4 Jewish grandparents myself. My parents were culturally Jewish, rather proud of being culturally Jewish. But they converted from Judaism to various Christian religions. My whole family did. They were hoping to escape what they saw as the worst consequences of the rising tide of Nazism. Anyway, Hitler and I agreed on one thing. I was Jewish. Hungary, being an ally of Germany rather than an occupied country, was permitted to do whatever it wanted to do with its own Jews. And they took military-age men right up to the ages of 50 or 55 in labor squadrons or punishment squadrons to the Russian front. Some survived, many perished, some were taken prisoners. And old men and women and children were restricted in movement, but essentially continued living in various ghettos in Budapest and other provincial cities. The Germans were not absolutely sure of Hungary's loyalty, with good reason, and they occupied Hungary in March 1944. For the Hungarian Nazis called Arrow Cross were installed as Hungary's government, and they wanted to round up all the Jews and take them to the bank of the Danube and shoot them. And they did kill quite a few. My father decided to go into hiding with the family, essentially to acquire some false papers, but it took some time and you could not wander around the streets. But people didn't want to put you up for the night, essentially because they were afraid, because the Arrow Cross would shoot people who were hiding Jews or giving aid and comfort to people. My father was of the view that you could always find a person to put you up for the night, because not everybody in Budapest was an anti-Semite, And the interesting thing was that one of the people he called was in fact a bit of an anti-Semite himself, but he drew the line at murder, at a regime that wanted to kill men, women, and children. I have often wondered since what makes a person do something at the risk of injuring himself and his own family, and the only answer that I can come up with is that character is more significant in determining what a person will do than political opinion or social prejudice. Without a question, my father saved the family. In that situation, you could not afford not to be courageous. The extent and the nature of the Holocaust was discovered from the footage of the first films that came back from the Nazi concentration camps. The world was stunned not only by the extent of the barbarity, but that it was perpetrated of all people by the Germans. The people of Goethe and Schiller and Beethoven, the most accomplished, highly civilized people in the heart of Europe.
It is the human race that is genocidal, not the Germans. Saying this is not to excuse the Germans, but to note a fact. In one vital sense, we're all Jews and we're all Germans, potentially, depending on the conditions in which we find ourselves. Remembering this may reduce the likelihood that we will ever be Jews or Germans again, as Jews and Germans were during one nightmarish period between 1933 and 1945. I regard myself as a classical liberal, one who puts the greatest premium on liberty, liberty being the word from which liberal originates.
My own view is that liberalism is risk-free, but ultra-liberalism is risky. I very often feel that if we lose the qualities that I came in search of and did find 50 years ago, we will eventually resemble all the societies that the people of this country came to escape when they came here in the first place. It is possible to live in an unfree society. It's just terribly limiting. All the achievements that our society is rightly proud of have come about as a result of human freedom. It's only when you live under conditions where liberty is absent that you recognize that it is a bargain at any price.